Our Steve Delson sent an email yesterday to the local district attorney, the prosecutor in Tallahassee, William Meggs, and asked him whether he'd been contacted regarding the case that he had investigated into Jameis Winston. And I've got it right here. He says, Meggs, I have not been contacted by any team or anyone from the NFL. What do you make of that?
I think that's stunning. I think if you're doing your due diligence on a player, that you're going to be asking those questions. I think that you should be talking to Willie Meggs. You should be talking to everybody you can. You could, his parents, his former coaches, you know, possibly even Erica Kinsman, to see what her statement is about that.
You really think that a team would interview?
I'm saying if you're going to get a full picture of somebody, that it is not outside of the realm of possibility to talk to the person who's making those accusations. If you actually want to say to yourself, you know what, we have a good conscience on this, talk to her and get her sense. And if you feel like this is, you know, that what she's saying is false, or that if what she's saying isn't comport with what you've found out about Winston, then you can have a clear conscience going into the draft and feel like, you know what, we've got all of the information, we still feel comfortable. I mean, I think the problem is when you don't gather that kind of information. You know, for example, George McCaskey, the Bears owner, was asked about Ray McDonald and said, do you feel comfortable bringing him? He's like, absolutely, I feel comfortable. And then he was asked, who did you talk to? Did you talk to the prosecution or even the defense in any of these cases against him, the allegations of the domestic violence and sexual assault? And McCaskey said, no, I didn't, because there's bias there. Well, you know what, there's bias on the other side as well. If you want a full picture of anybody, you know, you have to get all sides. So I would think it's in the NFL's best interest, certainly, to call Meggs, certainly to get at least that side of the story.
Now we've got the civil suit being filed. David Cornwell, who is the attorney for Jameis Winston, the evening after the suit was filed, his response, this stunt was expected. Miss Kinsman's false accusations have already been exposed and rejected 6 times. This time will be no different, end quote. Now, within the piece, you saw the comments made at a symposium at Villanova University by David Cornwell, saying that, in his opinion, Winston's not ready for life outside the NFL, off the field. You had a chance to have a conversation with David Cornwell that day. What was that like?
Well, I think Cornwell is clearly an advocate for Winston, and in some ways says some of the things that Winston can't. People, you know, picked out that quote because it doesn't comport with the things that he said in the past, and obviously Cornwell thinks that Winston will make an excellent NFL quarterback, and I think, you know, kind of backtracked on that comment later, saying that there are a lot of players who aren't ready for the NFL, but they'll be taken anyway. But I think that in some ways he's able to say some things. You know, he named Erica Kinsman before the conclusion of the criminal proceedings, and he's able to go out and do some of these things that if Winston did it would look absolutely terrible. And so in that way he fulfills that role very well. But at the same time, I think you could probably have some issues with some of the things that he said.
And we have of course, the specter of, on his own, Winston asking for and getting an appointment and sitting down with the commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell. Goodell didn't call him in. Winston asked to be in that room.
He did, but I think that the NFL probably would have asked for that meeting if Winston hadn't. I know that there were people within the NFL who wanted to meet with him before that also, so it was really mutual. I also, my understanding is that in that meeting, he was asked some very pointed questions. The NFL now has people who are investigators and looking into all of the different allegations, and of course the crab legs, which isn't an allegation.
Well, apparently they didn't call the DA in Tallahassee.
They didn't call the DA, which you would think would be something they'd want to do. Yeah. But at the same time, they are looking into this. They're going in with their eyes open here. And my understanding is that it may have been tougher questioning that Winston has faced up to this point, and that's good. The issue, though, I think, is that the NFL and the teams have different goals here. The teams want to win a game, and if they can pull in Jameis Winston and he wins games for them, then they're willing to assume some of that risk. The NFL, on the other hand, is trying to redeem its image and trying to show that it takes these issues seriously. So it's in a bit of a situation where it has to show that it's being serious about these allegations of sexual assault.